Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about rising Libra. So first, I'm going to give you some characteristics explaining what the ascendant actually is, and then I'm going to talk about the descendant. So the descendant ends up being your 7th house, so your relationship needs rising Libra. And then at the end, I'm going to give you a celebrity example of what rising Libra could look like in real life. And I will say that this is the rising sign that I had the most trouble choosing a celebrity example because there were so many lovable rising Libras, and I think that, goes to show that rising Libra is such a really excellent rising to have in this life. I have a rising Aries friend who likes to call this a Libra world. She says that we live in a Libra world and that it's hard to exist as an Aries in a Libra world. So without further ado, guys, let's get right into it. So I like to call your ascendant your little spacesuit. And the reason for that is because the ascendant, I know it gets called like the mask that you wear, but it really isn't it doesn't really conceal anything. What the ascendant really does is it's a vehicle for you to navigate the world. So for whatever reason, God or the gods or your parents, anyone who has really brought you into this world. Is it gonna rain? So when you came into this world, you were given an ascendant that was going to help you survive and thrive in this environment. So that's the reason why I call it a spacesuit. And the reason for that is because it was tailor-made specifically for you to survive in the environment that you were growing up in. So anyone who was around you when you were a little kid and really in those formative years, they had something to do with your ascendant, okay? So I like to say that each person that was around you during those years was kind of like putting like little patches on your little spacesuit. And they were making sure that you had all the little details, all the characteristics that were going to help you survive in this new environment. So because of that, because this new environment was so Libra, because the first house is the house of your personality, your exterior, and your life essentially. Because of this, you left behind characteristics of Virgo in the 12th house. So this becomes interesting when you have Virgo planets. So it's just like, I have all these Virgo planets, but I'm a Libra rising, and it can be a little bit confusing and a little bit difficult to express those planets. So later on, I'm going to be making specific videos about 12th house planets, but for today, we're just going to talk about the Libra rising. So, okay. So you've left behind all these characteristics of Virgo in the 12th house. For whatever reason, the people in your environment gave you the message like, hey, you're not going to be able to survive with those Virgo ass traits. You're going to have to be a Libra. So what is it that you left behind in the 12th house when you left Virgo there? So Virgo and Libra are very different. So Libra is ruled by the planet Venus. Venus is the planet of beauty, of love, of grace, of balance, of art. Okay, so those are things that are going to be important for you if you're a Libra rising. So what did you leave behind in the 12th house, Libra? So I like to say that you left behind the harshness of Virgo and you traded it for the kindness or the softness of Libra. So Virgo can seem like they're very harsh, but really what Virgo would say to that is like, I'm not being harsh, I'm just being truthful, I'm just being realistic, I'm telling you the objective truth. And Libra isn't so much concerned with the objective truth. Libra is an air sign, and because it's ruled by Venus, it is more concerned with keeping the peace and making sure everybody is comfortable. That is really important for Libra rising people. And because the first house is the house of you interacting with your environment, the first house is not only yourself and your personality, but it's also your environment, how you see the world. So because of that, because it's ruled by Venus, you want your environment to be very peaceful. And in order to make sure that your environment remains peaceful, Libra, you wouldn't say harsh things. So that's why I say that you leave behind the harshness of Virgo in the 12th house. So another thing that you left behind in the 12th house with Virgo is a very nervous sign. It is ruled by Mercury and it is concerned with material safety. And because of this, Virgo is constantly going through scenarios in their head as to what could go wrong and how could they prepare for it. And they're always kind of going through all of these scenarios in their head, and that can make them rather nervous and frazzled. But you left that behind in the 12th house, Libra. So instead of all of that constant action in your mind, Libra is more easygoing. Libra is more relaxed and Venusian. Venus is a sign of tranquility and peace. It seeks to remain balanced at all times, and because of that, Libra doesn't overexert herself with extra activity. They more than anything want to remain calm. You wouldn't want Libra to tell you whether you look fat in a dress, and the reason for that is because Libra would never want to say something that is off-putting. They wouldn't want to hurt your feelings. And the reason for that is because Libra is so concerned with comfort, and not just their own. It's not a selfish comfort. Air signs are very concerned with relating with other people. And for Libra specifically, they're concerned with one-on-one relationships. And because of that, they want all their one-to-one relationships to remain peaceful. And because of that, they would never say something that would upset somebody else. So you can't really count on Libra to tell you the bare naked truth or the brutal honesty. If you ever need brutal honesty, go to a Sagittarius, go to a Virgo, go to a Capricorn, maybe even a Scorpio, but don't go to Libra Rising, because Libra Rising is never going to tell you a harsh, cruel thing. Don't expect that from them. Whenever you're in your room and you're comfortable and you can kind of like eat chips and watch a movie and just like lean back, and that is your moon state. That is how you are deep down inside whenever you're being comfortable, when you don't have your little spacesuit on, okay? So what happens when somebody walks into your environment? So as soon as somebody walks into your environment, especially somebody you don't know, you put on that spacesuit, because that spacesuit really is here to ensure that you're safe in your environment and that you are taken care of. So what does that mean for Libra Rising? What characteristics do they put on with their spacesuit? So first of all, they're going to assess the person that has walked in, because they're always thinking about relating to others. And anytime you think about Libra, you want to think about relating. Libra, one of the phrases that reminds me so much of Libra is me too. Not from the Me Too movement, but just saying me too. Like, oh, I love pizza. Oh, me too. I love going to the mall. Me too. Libra is a big me too. And it's not that they're copying you. They might not even like what they're saying me too to. They just want to relate to you, and they will find a way to relate to you. Libra rising people are the kind of people that will fit in absolutely anywhere. And the way that they do that is by observing the people around them and kind of shifting themselves in order to fit into whatever puzzle that they've been thrown into. That is a really good trait. So when somebody walks into their environment, they're going to assess that person, and they're going to change their behavior and their mannerisms in order to make that person feel comfortable. And that really puts people at ease and allows them to kind of be themselves. Libra people could put you really at ease because they are so friendly and open and easygoing. I don't want you to think like, oh, Libra is fake because they're always going to just go along with somebody else. They're not doing it to be fake. They're really doing it so that the other person can feel comfortable. Well, because that makes them feel comfortable and that makes them happy. So making other people happy is really important to rising Libra. So Libra rising people could fit in anywhere that they go, and they're really good at fitting in with people from any type of background. They will somehow find a common thread with the person and just be like, oh yeah, like I used to surf too. And sometimes they're lying and sometimes they're just exaggerating the truth, but it's a really good quality that they have because it makes them very versatile, and you could just push them anywhere and they'll fit in and they'll walk out having a whole bunch of new friends. So your ascendant, your little spacesuit has a helmet, right? And that helmet has a lens through which you see the world. So you look out at the world from the first house to the seventh house. The seventh house is other people. So the seventh house is from where the other people look back at you. So from that lens, you are able to see the world. And it also, your ascendant tells you how you see the world. And for a Libra rising person ruled by Venus, they see the world as beautiful. They think the world is nice. Their filter, I like to think of their filter as that like pretty Instagram filter that wants everything to look nice and just a little bit better than it already is, just beautified. That's how Libra rising wants to see the world. So they like for things to be beautiful. They are one of the signs that really are attracted to pretty things. Like obviously they're ruled by Venus. So they really like attractive people. They like attractive clothing. They like to be surrounded by beautiful environments. They like nature, pretty scenery. All of that is really important to rising Libra. And not only that, but it also applies to how they relate to others and how they want people to be with each other. So Libra thinks that the world is nice and everybody just needs to get along. They don't like disagreements. They don't like people arguing over dumb things. These aren't the kind of people that are going to bring up politics at a dinner because they just don't see a point. And it's not that they don't have very passionate opinions, But the thing is that they don't see a point in sharing those opinions with others if the opinions are going to be off-putting to others. So Libra rising people are the kind of people that you might never find out their political affiliation unless they know yours and you guys like match and you guys see eye to eye, then they might tell you. But other than that, you're really not going to hear about their political ideas or opinions because, again, they don't want to ruffle any feathers. Ruffling feathers is not important. And I really want to emphasize that they don't do this because they're soft, or they don't do this because they're dispassionate. They don't do this because they're fake or phony. The reason why Libra rising does this is because they see the overall benefit of getting along with other people. You know how we always talk about how we should all get along and we're all one and all these Pisces, Aquarius things. Libra has figured out a way to actually do that. Libra has figured out a way to get along with everybody. And it turns out that the way to get along with everybody is not to express every single thing that goes through your mind. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it? Libra figured it out. Libra rising figured it out. So the way that people look back at you from that 7th house, so you're in the 1st house and other people are in the 7th house and they look back at you. So how do they see you? Through that lens that you're wearing, you see the world as a beautiful place, you want everything to be beautiful. How do people see you actually, Libra rising? So they also see you through that filtered, beautified lens. They think that you are a lovely, kind person because, again, you don't really ruffle feathers. Oh, another thing that I forgot. They always see you as being politically correct. Libra rising people are very politically correct because, again, they don't want to ruffle feathers. And because of this, they are always aware of what is going on socially in order to stay on the right side of arguments, right? And usually for a Libra rising person, the right side of an argument is the quiet side because they'll have their personal opinion. They'll have their personal opinions, but they're not going to share them with other people because they don't see a point. So how else do people see you from that 7th house? They also see you as very humble. Libra rising people are some of the most humble people. Libra period is a humble sign, but when it is in the ascendant, you see this as somebody who doesn't want anybody to feel like they are below them, that like they're beneath them or above them. They also don't want to like make themselves small either. But this is the kind of person that treats everybody with the same level of respect. It doesn't matter what position you hold in life or how rich or how poor you are or what job you work at. They don't care. They treat everybody with the same level of respect. It's very important because remember that the sign of Libra is the scales, and that is striving for balance and for equality. So they treat everybody as an equal, and that is really important to Libra rising people. They don't like for people to treat others with disrespect. They generally don't like disrespect, period, on anyone's part. But when you treat somebody who is beneath you with disrespect, that really irks Libra rising people. They just don't see that as fair or acceptable. And that is probably one of the only times that you would see them like upset. But another way that you are seen from the 7th house is you're always seen as really nice and really calm and easygoing, just like a friendly sort of guy or girl. And people don't see you as conflictive. They might not necessarily know a lot about you because you are very like just polite and pleasant and easygoing and go with the flow. So that is how you are seen from the 7th house. Also remember that your ascendant is modified by any planets that are housed within your 1st house or any aspects being made to your ascendant by other planets. If this doesn't sound exactly like you, then there could be another planet in the 1st house or making an aspect to your ascendant that would modify it a little bit. Okay, so now let's talk about the descendant. So what does Libra rising need in relationships? So in relationships, Libra rising needs Aries. Aries ends up being in the 7th house. So in the 7th house, we kind of put all of those characteristics that we don't identify as our own, but we kind of project them onto the world. And usually what happens is whenever you see a quality in somebody else that you say you don't like it, sometimes there's a reason for it. And the reason for it is because you have it within you and you repress it or you suppress it, or you're just like, no, I don't like that quality. I'm never going to do that. So for Libra rising, it ends up being all the Aries characteristics. So you know how Aries is kind of like feisty and fiery and will tell it like it is? That is not how Libra rising is. So because of that, in relationships, that is really where they get to explore that side of themselves. So that's not to say that they're going to like fight in relationships, not at all, because they're just not conflictive people. But they like relationships where the passion gets brought out of them. So they like very passionate people. They like people that are fiery and Aries like. And the reason for this is because they want their partner, or they need their partner to be somebody who's going to fire them up whenever it's actually necessary. Because Libra rising, because they're so nice and easygoing, there could be a tendency for people to take advantage of them or just kind of treat them like they're a pushover. And they could be a little bit of a pushover. So if you have a partner that's gonna be like, hey, like, you can't accept that, and is going to like push you to actually fight for yourself, that is a good thing for a Libra rising person. Either somebody who's gonna push you to fight for yourself, or somebody who's gonna do your battles for you and really get their hands dirty in a way that Libra rising really wouldn't. Because Libra rising is like, no, I don't behave that way. That is beneath me. Well, it's not beneath an Aries person to go fight the battles of their loved ones. So that's why. So what are the things that they get to explore in relationships? So being passionate, being fiery, telling it like it is, and going your own way, not compromising, being independent and not really worrying about your partner. So they're going to need a partner that is independent because they seek some level of independence in relationships. So now let's talk about the celebrity chart. The celebrity chart that I chose is actually Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And the reason for that is because I think he is such a liked guy that there was nobody that was more Libra rising to me. And I'm gonna pop up his chart so you can see what I'm talking about. But he is a Libra rising with a Venus in Gemini. And Venus in Gemini is like quintessentially charming. So this guy, like, just look at this guy. Like, he's so charming. Gemini, Libra people are very charming. These are the kind of people who could sell like dust to a dust bunny. I don't even know. Like, they're the really good salesman people. And they're really good with words. They're really good flirts. And just like I said, they're very charming. So Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, everybody likes him. I feel like old people, young people, my mom loves him. My mom doesn't even speak English and she loves The Rock. And she doesn't know his name, but she knows what he looks like. So yeah. So he is actually a Taurus. So his sun is ruled by Venus, and so is his ascendant. So this makes him like doubly Venusian. So The Rock is so liked that even if he makes really cheesy movies, people will still go out and see them, because we know that it's just gonna be like a good, just like an easygoing good time. Like, his movies aren't gonna make you think, they aren't going to make you cry, they're gonna make you laugh and have a good time. Just think about Venus and just being pleasant and having a good time. Just like shooting the shit, I don't know how to say it. I don't know what other way to say it. And think about how he has transitioned throughout his career, and how no matter where he goes, he is always well liked, and he's never controversial. He doesn't get into controversies. And when he makes like a faux pas on social media because like young people have like standards that he might not be totally in tune with, he'll right away apologize and always go back to being seen in that really positive Venus light that he has around him. So lastly, I just want to talk about other contenders, because like I said, there were so many lovable rising Libra celebrities. So I want to mention a few. So the first one is Beyonce. Of course she's a rising Libra, but Beyonce is a Virgo. So I just want to point out that whenever you're a Virgo with Libra, you can be that type of person that is so perfect and amazing and lovely that people hate you because you're too amazing. Beyonce has that kind of effect on people. She could be kind of hated because she's so good. She's so good because she's a Virgo, and she seems so lovely, and she seems like such a good person because of that Libra ascendant, and that can make you a little bit hated. And Denzel Washington, of course, is also a rising Libra. He's another super well-liked actor, and I really love him. Who doesn't love him, guys? Come on. Remember the Titans? Man on Fire? And lastly, Hitler was also a rising Libra, and I thought that was super interesting, but also not that surprising, because I don't know a whole lot about Hitler, but all I know is that people like went along with him on this crazy idea that he had to murder all these people. So I'm sure that it takes a certain level of agreeableness in order to get people to listen to your message. And rising Libra is a really good trait, a really good rising sign for politicians, and I mean ultimately that's what he was, a politician. Then he was also a Taurus, so Venus was on both parts, on two important parts of his chart. So it shows how Venus and being likable and being attractive can make you a very powerful person. And despite, you know, a rising Libra seems like they're very easygoing and like they're not very driven or they're not very passionate, but it is the trick that Libra rising people can get other people to do their dirty work for them so that they can always be seen in that positive light and they can still get dirty things done in a way, whatever it is that they need to get done. So that's the video for today, guys. I hope that the lighting was working for me. I hope that there wasn't too many bird sounds, but yeah, that's the video for today, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to my channel. I put out astrology videos every single week, and I will see you in the next one.